Hang on. Oh, okay. We'll let Goldie do it. And of course, my phone is ringing. All right. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. We are here with MSR-FSR today for our career event. We've got just a couple of housekeeping things for you as we're getting started. If you haven't seen it, we have great questions for you to ask. You can click on the bit.ly over here. And those are great questions to ask anybody. So anytime you're in a conversation where you'd like to learn about the person, these are good questions to start with. We also have an evaluation form for you. And that evaluation form is the only way that we are able to give you credit for attending. And you can use that whether you're attending live with us this morning, or if you're watching this video later and you would like to get credit for this as your career event, go ahead, fill out that bit.ly STC eval 2122, and that will allow you to be credited for this career exploration. All right. We also ask that while you're watching this, especially if you're participating live, that you try to be fully present, paying attention, and go ahead and ask questions. People love it when you have some questions, so be part. Yep. And the last thing, submit your evaluation. Totally serious about that. That's how you get credit. All right. So Goldie's going to stop the screen share. There we go. Okay. And if students do want to turn on their cameras, you won't appear on the recording. We've got spotlights on our presenters. So it's okay if you do want to turn on cameras. All right, Giovanna, thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you. You can go ahead and get started.
Thank you so much, Heather. And I just want to thank you all for attending and learning more about MSR-FSR and a little bit more about our entry-level opportunities. So I'm just going to start by sharing a little bit about our organization. So MSR-FSR is a high-tech manufacturing company that provides managed engineering and construction solutions to industries, including the semiconductor industry, life sciences, and energy, in support of their operations from start to finish. We have offices around the country and around the world, including our office here in Hillsboro, Oregon. We have a variety of opportunities to build a career in high-tech manufacturing within MSR-FSR, which include entry-level positions, engineering roles, construction, project management, and more. So today, our panelists will be talking about their roles in MSR-FSR and how an entry-level role within the field of high-tech manufacturing can become a lifelong career. So we're going to start by having the panelists introduce themselves, and then they'll be responding to a series of questions related to their current role, their career, and sharing more about working within the semiconductor industry. So to start, I am Giovanna. I've been working with MSR-FSR and within the industry since November. So I'm a recruiter and I'm local to the area. I grew up in Beaverton and attended Westview High School, and I'll be facilitating our panel today. So at any point, you can feel free to share questions that come up for you in the chat, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end of our session this morning. So I'll be sharing the questions that our panelists will be answering, and I'll be queuing folks in to answer those questions, and then I'll share the question in the chat. So we are going to get started with introductions, and I'm going to have our panelists share their name, their job title, how long they've been with MSR-FSR and in the semiconductor industry. And then they'll just give a very brief overview of their responsibilities from day to day in their jobs. And so we are going to get started with Jessica, and then we're going to go to Michelle and then Marwin.
Hi, I'm Jessica Cottrell. I am the resource manager here at MSR-FSR, which is just a fancy way for saying that I hire people, basically. I have been with this company for about 1.5 years, and I have been in the high-tech industry for 22 years. And I'm actually based on the East Coast in Virginia. And I think that this is a marvelous fantastic industry, and I'm really excited to talk with you guys about it today.
You're muted, Michelle.
Thank you, Giovanna. I'm Michelle Blanco. I'm the FSR Operations Account Manager. I'm based out of Austin, Texas. I've been in the semiconductor industry off and on since 1994. And I've lived all over the United States working in the semiconductor industry. Essentially, my responsibilities are to support our customer in whatever capacity we are needed in our field services division. So I work directly with our customer and support our operations management on the FSR side of the house as well. I started in the industry straight out of college, had no knowledge of the industry, and absolutely loved it from day one. So I hope you get to learn a lot about it as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marwin Hebden, and I am the on-site manager for MSR's VSC program. I've been with MSR for, well, since November of last year, and I've been in my current role since the beginning of this year. And it's very exciting. There's a lot of challenges going on, but it's a lot of fun. As the program manager, my responsibilities include overseeing the daily operations of the VSC teams. We have 4 teams on 4 different shifts, so a lot of people to look out for. I perform interviews for potential new hires. I respond to any issues that may arise on any of the shifts that come up, conduct personal reviews, whether that's for performance, raises, or disciplinary. And there's a lot more that I do on a daily basis, but it's a little bit boring at times, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you to the 3 of you. And now I'm going to have Brennan and then Samantha and then Michael introduce themselves.
My name is Brennan. I'm with MSR, of course. I'm the night shift team lead, which you could basically call a supervisor. I am under Marwin in the vacuum systems engineering department at Intel. My primary role is making sure that the shifts have the needed resources to get their jobs done, and also providing training for growth in their abilities.
And I am Samantha Manning Hensler. I am a entry-level preventative maintenance technician, and I have been working with MSR for about 9 months. And I would say that I basically assist the Blue Badge VSC technicians here at the Intel Romler Acres campus. And we do stuff like setup jobs, we tear down jobs, TMS, and Blue Badge assists. And that's a lot of the stuff that you'll learn through training with this position. And I love my job.
Hi, my name is Michael. In about 1 week, I'll have been with MSR for 1 whole year. I am an entry-level vacuum systems technician. We do a lot of cool things here at MSR. A lot of it is safety related. We do preventative maintenance. There's a lot of entry-level electrical work that we get to learn about and perform tasks with. And I've been enjoying my time here. I hope we can have a productive. Give me a second. I could speak English. I hope we can have a good panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for introducing yourselves. I think we're all really excited to be here and share more about this industry and what kind of opportunities we have. So now to get into a little bit of what the industry is, what type of problems we solve. I am going to start by having Brennan and Jessica share a little bit more about the semiconductor industry and how they came to understand the industry, how the work we do impacts the community and the industry itself, and what their favorite part of being in the semiconductor industry is, and how they see themselves contributing to the larger picture. So that is definitely a mouthful of questions, and I am going to have Brennan start by sharing and then have Jessica share after that.
It's a hard question. When I started, I didn't know anything about the semiconductor industry. I had a couple friends that worked for Intel and then other contract worker companies that were on site. They both liked it a lot. They both enjoyed it. They're still both in the semiconductor industry, and they had referred me to join MSR. Applied in, didn't know what I was getting into. I remember some of the videos that I watched in the beginning of kind of how the fab looked and all the clean rooms, and it looked like this place that was kind of stuck back in the 80s. Well, when you actually get into the job, I realized that it fit me really well because it had a lot of it's all mechanical type background, and that's who I am. I like hands-on work, and so it just came naturally to me. I mean, over the last year, I've learned a lot, and every single day I go in, there's still more to learn. There's also a ton of people that are on site, so you're meeting someone new every day. I mean, there's so much that is happening within their facilities that it can make you anxious at times because there's so much to learn at once, and it's about just not getting caught up in all the little details and learning as you go.
Hey there. How did I come to understand the semiconductor industry? Very quickly, I will tell you that my very first day at a semiconductor facility was at Micron in Manassas, Virginia. And I was at work, and the very first day they said, well, we're gonna go into the fab and we're gonna test a HPN2 line from the POC to the tool. And I put my hand up and I said, what's a fab? What's a POC? What's HPN2? And tool like a wrench, like a hammer? And it turned out that a fab was the building that you guys probably all have seen or driven by. A POC was a point of connection. HPN2 was a type of gas, and a tool was not a wrench. It was a machine that was anywhere from the size of a small microwave to a small home in some cases, right? So definitely, much like Brennan, no clue what was going on when I walked through the doors, but found that I was given a lot of training and found that I really enjoyed what was happening inside of this building and what we were helping to create. So from our community to our daily lives, you know, we don't just make microchips for your Xbox, right? We're making things that are doing 4D images in hospitals, or the seatbelts that automatically come on when you get into a car. And technology advances at such a fast rate, and you get to be a part of that. And kind of to give you it in context with something that you might be familiar with, one of these little puppies was first invented only 40 years ago. And when it was invented, it weighed about 2.5 pounds. So you'd have to stack 10 of your current phones on top of each other to get that weight. And we did not get internet or text messaging and cell phones until the mid-90s. And to be totally honest, the phones that we all know today, the very first one, the basis of that was the iPhone, and it came out in 2008. So for all of you that are finishing out your high school career, when you were born, the phones we use today did not exist at all. And the very first phone to ever have a camera was an iPhone. So, and that was only 14 years ago. So technology has, in that way, in a way that you can identify it, enhanced your life, having things, you know, at your fingers and helping to make your life better, whether that's communication or correspondence or however you want to look at it. But I just think that when you see what's going on and what's being built, it really is a contribution to our entire society and our civilization. So I think that it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you both so much for sharing. And it sounds like that's a pretty common theme that I hear, is that people who come into this industry really are learning from the ground up and may not have heard of the semiconductor industry at all. So just to check from our other entry level folks, Samantha, excuse me, and then Michael, did you all know about the semiconductor industry before you started your roles here at MSR-FSR?
I knew nothing about the semiconductor industry. I hadn't even really heard of it. My own brother actually works here, so he referred me here, and I got a lot of my information through him. So I was a little more set up than some of the workers here were, but I came to find out a lot about it, and it's a very interesting industry.
I'm of a similar mindset. I didn't know much about how the industry operated, nor the entire scope of it. It was quite large to my surprise. I had a couple of friends actually, that had found work with MSR-FSR specifically, which is how I got in as well. I've been pleasantly surprised.
So yes, I can definitely see that theme for sure, of hearing from friends, family, maybe not having an awareness of the industry outside of that, but still having lots of opportunity within the industry. And something that Jessica touched on that we're going to go a little bit more into depth in is the fab that she mentioned, the building where a lot of our work takes place in and around that space. So Brennan, Samantha, and Michael are working in and around the fab on a daily basis within their jobs. So I'm going to have them share a little bit more about what that is, what the work setting is like, and what they like most about it. And talking a little bit about how long it took to get used to working in that setting, what or who kind of helped you learn how to be successful in that environment, and what would be helpful for people to know before going into working in a fab or a clean room environment. So I am going to have Brennan start us off, and then Michael, and then Samantha.
You know, the fab's interesting. So basically the fab, or I guess the whole factory, is made up of, at Intel, it's 5 or 6 buildings, and you've got a fab and you've got sub-fab levels, and there's also utility levels, but the main two are the fab and the sub-fab. They're all connected together. So it's just this one massive building. And it's a super clean room environment. And you're in a white, basically looking like the Michelin Man bunny suit. And that's so that you can keep any, hair and skin and any kind of particles out of the air within the factory. The fab is where all of the wafers are produced, which has all the chips on them. And then the sub-fab has all the equipment that processes different gases and liquids that are used in the production. One of the things about the fab starting working in it was the first time I entered it, I mean, you have these overhead vehicles that are flying around all over the ceiling that are carrying the wafers from different tools. So that's the first thing that grabs your attention when you enter the room. Makes you a little nervous when you're up there because of how clean everything is and how big the tools are when you see them in person for the first time. And it really, the main thing to do is to just, like I said earlier, is just not try to get anxious about everything that's happening around you. Focus on what you're there for. The information, if you're curious about things, will come to you over time. There's so many people that are working in the environment that just talking with people, you can learn so much as you go. And honestly, it can open up other opportunities within the facility for other jobs that you'd like to do there. I think that's all I have.
All right, much like what Brennan said, we have a fab and there's a sub fab, which is kind of like a lower level to, well, the fab room. And we have plenty of jobs that specialize in working in both or working specifically in one or the other. You don't have to wear a bunny suit when you're in the sub fab, so you don't have to be dressed up like the Michelin Man if that's not your thing. Some people are uncomfortable in the bunny suit, but I find that many people just kind of get used to it. It's just like a putting on clothes for the day. Some people actually prefer to work in the fab. It's a nice area. I don't know if any of you have like seen any sci-fi movies or watched Wall-E, but like Brennan said, they have machines and robots moving things around, fulfilling tasks, and it's almost like you're living in your own little sci-fi world. Something that helped me get used to the fab, I can't really say, it just kind of came naturally to me, honestly. Like he said, I just kind of focused on learning, completing my tasks, and eventually it was just like home. But if I had to say there was some kind of skill or something you could do to like prepare for most of the jobs that are here at MSR or at Intel in general in the semiconductor industry, any mechanical skills, if you like tinkering, if you like working on cars, even if you like building computers or working with Legos or something like that, people like that are welcome. But really, anyone who's willing to work hard can definitely learn, because there's so many skills that are so unique to working at the fab. And MSR they've really taught me everything I needed to know.
So when it comes to the fab and the sub fab, well, we do a majority of our work down in the sub fab, and that's all the machinery that basically supports what's going on upstairs in the fab. And it's definitely a shock to walk into both. The fab was definitely, you're in your full get up, your bodysuit, boots, hood, and everything. And it's a lot to take in at first, but you're going to learn so much over time, and everybody's going to explain to you everything you need to know. You just need to ask questions, and in general, you're already going to be told off the bat what you need to expect. And yeah, in the sub fab, you're going to do your things like your job setups, your job teardowns, TMS, but there's some of that stuff that you're also going to be doing upstairs. It's not as common, but it does happen. And for me, it did take me a while to get used to, especially in the fab, just because I would get lost a lot. I got lost a lot, but over time, I definitely got used to it. I found my way and I was less confused. But here at MSR, we work on a buddy system. So you're never going to be on your own. You will always have another person with you that's experienced and knows where they're going for the most part. So you won't have to worry about that. But it is a unique experience. And I would personally say that you might want to do a little bit of research on like what to expect in the fab maybe, and what it would look like, just so it's not so much of a shock. Just look up what a bunny suit looks like. And yes, it is a lot like the Michelin Man. You are in an all white getup. So yeah, I just do a little bit of research and I think you would be all good to go.
And there are lots of resources, even if you like look up a fab or a clean room on YouTube, and you can really get a visual of what that environment might look like. So I appreciate you all sharing that. And Samantha, we're actually going to bounce back to you, because something that you all mentioned was PPE, personal protective equipment, tools, different things that you may use in the fab or in your roles in general. And Samantha is actually on site today. I see Michael earlier was wearing some PPE, a hard hat. And Samantha, if you brought any tools or PPE with you, I'm hoping that you can show. to the group?
Yeah, so I've actually got a BAPA mask here, and this will be hooked up to our breathing lines, both in the subfab and the fab. And this is basically to make sure that you're not breathing in any of those harsh chemicals that will be released from some of the tools that we do maintenance on here. And this basically goes over your face and around your head. And then you will be given a strap that's like a crossbody strap, which then also goes around your waist, so it's secured. And it'll get hooked up to an airline that's clean air, so then you're all good to go and you're all safe. And you will receive an MSR hard hat. You're going to be wearing this sub fab and fab. You have to have it on 24/7 along with your safety glasses, which are also always in the entrance of any door in the sub fab and the fab. You have to have them on. And when you're in the sub fab, you have to have booties as well, which go right over your shoes. And then you have to have latex or nitrile gloves. And then they also provide earplugs because it is loud.
Thank you, Samantha. And now that we've talked a little bit about generally what the work environment can look like, what you could expect, what types of experience people had with the industry before or lack of experience, whatever that's looked like, I want to start to create a picture of what projects and day-to-day work can look like. So I'm going to have a couple of folks on the panel share a story about an interesting project that they've worked on and what made that project exciting. So I'm going to have Marwin share first and then Brennan.
Well, currently right now, I've got a few projects going on and they're all exciting in their own ways. And I'd like to briefly hit on two of those. Currently, Brennan, myself, and our other team lead, we are working on completely revamping our training program. And once that is all done and good to go, and it's been signed off on, it's going to ensure that our technicians have all the information, everything is structured and organized, and it's going to enable them to succeed in their roles without overwhelming them and causing any unnecessary stress during their learning process. Additionally, I'm also overseeing a new pilot program where we're installing filters onto some of these systems, these tool sets that we have in Intel. And we're collecting the data right now. We're in that phase. And once we get all that data in, and if everything looks good and Intel signs off on it, it will create a lot of work and a lot of room for growth and expansion on our teams. And so that's very, very exciting as well.
So, interesting project. To give you a little background, when I started in semiconductor, I came from working for Dutch Bros Coffee. And so I had no experience in any of this industry or really anything related to it. I had done a little construction before that, but it was all personal time, mechanical experience is all I had when I came in. So being a part of this contract, program, which is vacuum systems engineering at Intel and what we support. I've been here from the beginning of it, about a month since the beginning of it. And so I have watched, our progress up until now. And so now that I have taken this position as the night team lead, so I run the 2 night shifts, I've been able to tell what we need, from where we started from and where we need to continue to grow. And it also helps that I think a lot alike to Marwin. So we are able to work together to build this thing. And that is really my interesting project, is just helping this whole program grow and us expanding and continuing to further improve in our abilities. And also working with so many of the people that are like myself or like you that want to get into the industry to also grow, because I started from nothing and I've made myself up in this position, and so anyone can.
Thank you both. And I think those stories lead really well into these next questions. And I think that each person in this panel has touched on the fact that they really enjoy their work and are proud to be a part of this industry and a part of this company. And so next, I would love for Michelle and Michael to tell us a little bit about what they're proud of in their work and talk about what they make or what service they provide and who they help. So we're going to start with Michelle and then we'll go to Michael.
So I think some of the things that I'm most proud of and what I do these days is helping people get a start in the industry. When I started in the industry myself, someone gave me an opportunity. I had no prior knowledge or experience and applied for an entry-level position as an equipment operator and got an opportunity to work in management pretty quickly and grew from there. So I really enjoy looking at people's resumes and helping them determine how their skills will translate to this environment and what future opportunities might look like for them, and helping mentor them as well. There's really a lot of opportunity in this industry, and people looking from the outside in, they don't really know, it's not tangible to them what skills they have that will translate. So after all these years in the industry, that's one of the things that I get the most pride in is helping people identify how their skills will translate and being comfortable with looking for an opportunity in this environment and starting a position in this environment.
I am very proud of the job that I hold right now, in all honesty. I've had a number of jobs in the past. And I was even in the Marines for a certain point of time for a few years, but this is definitely the first job that I've had that I feel like I can consider a career, if that makes sense. It's something that I can go out and tell the world, my family, my friends, like, hey, I'm a technician with MSR. I work at Intel. That's honestly something I never thought I'd be doing. I've learned a lot of skills, and I'm not underestimating that, because it's the work we do can be so unique at times that that they really do have to train you on so many different topics. And I feel like I'm no longer a low skill worker. I feel like I have skills and talents and I can achieve a lot more in the future. They've given me pay raises. They've given me opportunities to lead projects. They've given me, and they're starting to push forward even more future aspects within these last couple of weeks. So I feel very proud that I'm able to work in this industry with this company. The fact that we're making something so essential in every part of modern day life is amazing to me. Car factories are shutting down because they can't acquire enough of what we provide, which means we're always hiring. Job stability is an all-time high. And it's not just cars. We're helping create medical equipment, smartphones, any smart devices in your homes. I think it's amazing. Who do I help? I mean, really, we kind of help everyone out a little bit. Anyone who has a smart device and relies on it, it's just nice to support them, support, America, support the world. It feels good. And I'm happy I'm able to work here.
Thank you both. And that's something I think about a lot, is that in this high tech world that we live in, ultimately, these types of services that we provide really impact a lot of the community in ways that we don't even think about talking about smart devices and whatnot. I know I have a smartwatch on and I have my iPhone next to me. So definitely these impacts span across a lot of different areas that we don't think about day to day. And what I want to touch on next is talking more about our entry-level positions. So today we have entry-level preventative maintenance technicians with us, as well as Brennan, who is a lead on those teams. So I would like for Brennan, Samantha, and Michael to share what are your favorite aspects of your role, and what do you like best? And then, of course, what do you like least as well, in talking about the pros and cons of your positions. So we're going to start with Samantha, and then we'll go to Brennan and then Michael.
Personally, I would say in my job, I do enjoy being able to help out the other like blue badge technicians. And when I actually get to go out on BB assists and I get to interact with maintenance and what we do and why we do it with the tools and with like abatement units and pumps, it's very interesting to be able to learn about those aspects, because then you get a better idea of like what the semiconductor industry is. And I would say that's some of my favorite aspects of my job. There's not too much that I dislike about it. I mean, it's a lot of walking. It's a big campus. Romler Acres is huge. So you walk quite a bit, but you get used to it, and it's not that bad. It's really not. I think I've mostly covered what I'd want to say.
She is right, though. I think I had 30,000 steps counted on my phone a couple times throughout the night walking around. But so my favorite part about my role, honestly, it's probably having to, one is I like the hands-on aspect of the job. I don't like to sit in one place for too long. I get a little anxious and antsy. So I need to keep moving and keep moving my hands and working on things. But then I also like the other side of working with other people and helping other people so that they can improve in their skills, and also just meeting everyone that's on site so that I can learn more. But also that's one of the things I don't like about the place is how many people there are. I also don't like crowds, and I don't like speaking to everyone all day long, but that also can be solved from having good communication and staying organized. But yes, I think my favorite part is more of the hands-on experience that you have in the job.
If I had to, I do have a lot of things that I like, and there are some things that I dislike at the same time. If I had to narrow it down to one thing, though, it would probably be that I enjoy the fact that the work it's mindful. It's something you can pay attention to. The details do matter, especially with things pertaining to safety, like when we have to wear the masks that were shown to you before. It's nice because sometimes it's like looking at a puzzle or like a Lego set that you're missing like one or two Legos to, and you have to try and figure out how to finish the model with the extra pieces you have. And while it is interesting and fun work, it can also be difficult at times. But you know what work isn't. There's also you're usually not always like running around all over the place. The job does allow break periods between the jobs that you do as you move around from place to place or reconvene at the at the office building that we plan and schedule our jobs at. If I have to say there's one thing that I dislike, it might be the fact that sometimes you gotta think about certain issues a little bit more than you think you should have to. Some things can, some of those puzzles can be real tricky, but usually, once again, you're not alone on any of the jobs. So if you and your partner put your heads together, you can usually figure it out.
Thank you. And now you all have alluded to this a little bit in talking about what you like about your roles, but I want to go into a little bit more depth on what aptitudes, skills, personal qualities make a person successful in this type of position. And Brennan is actually going to be leaving us around 10:15. So I'm going to have him chime in on this really quickly before he heads out. And then I'm going to have Jessica share a little bit from a recruiting perspective.
So I kind of have a list written out. Now it doesn't have to be all of these, but some of them definitely help, in whatever, honestly, in any career that you choose to do. But I have being organized, able to work well with a team, professional communication, being polite, being patient with people, have a problem-solving mindset, and some kind of basic mechanical understanding, like Mike had said earlier, something like working on computers or working on cars. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it that I feel like. I couldn't come up with any more, but I think the biggest ones, especially when you're working in this large of a facility, is the communication and being patient with people. Just there's a lot of moving pieces all at all times, and you can get a lot of roadblocks from other things that are happening on the other side of the facility, and it might put a hold on you, and you got to be patient and just stay calm and go with the flow.
I think Brennan captured that beautifully. I think those are all things I would have listed. And I guess that I can't emphasize enough that, and I know Michelle, who heads up this program, would agree. Just a willingness, an attitude, a willingness to want to learn is really the fundamental bottom piece. It's wonderful to have a mechanical aptitude. That's going to help you. It's wonderful to want to put puzzles together, right? That's going to help you. But in the end, everybody on this panel that is in this group today started in our careers, mid-career, wherever we're at, by being determined and asking questions and not being afraid to ask those questions, and just try to have a positive attitude that you're learning something and that it's going to, in the end, be a part of something bigger than yourself or just for yourself only. There's a multitude of ways to look at it. And I don't want to touch on it too much, but I will say that in addition to Brennan and Samantha and Michael and Marwin, who work on site there at Intel, and we're talking a lot about the preventive maintenance technician positions, just to give you an idea that beyond just these, there are hundreds of positions. If you like to draw, you can become a designer. If you like to do marketing, well, we've all heard of Intel, right? We've seen it on our TVs. It's on your laptop. That's marketing. If you like to write, there's technical writing. If you are a person who likes, I don't know, a trade, electricity or plumbing or piping or carpentry, there's jobs for those people. Construction is a huge part of what semiconductor is. And so there are more than just this one thing. There are hundreds of them, and there are multiple avenues with which to take. So again, it all starts though with a willingness and a desire to learn. It's that simple.
Yeah, thank you both. And Jessica, I feel like you really highlighted a lot of people when talking about this industry and what they like about it, talk about how the possibilities truly are endless and how so many different skills and experiences and backgrounds have a place in this industry. So really appreciate you highlighting that. And to stay on that note, we're going to talk a little bit about the demand for employees in this industry and whether it's competitive or not. So we're going to go back to Jessica and have her share a little bit, as well as Michelle, on talking about what kind of demand there is for new employees. And again, if the industry is competitive to get into. And if you foresee any fundamental changes coming in the next few years within the industry. So we'll start with Jessica and then go to Michelle.
I think Michael touched on this just a bit. He talked about car manufacturers shutting down because there wasn't enough of what we provide. That is an absolute fact in today's world. And there are semiconductor factories being built at a rate that's unprecedented ever, all across the world. Here in America, the growth and the amount of work that is out there are literally going to equate to millions of jobs. And there is an abundance. So for people just coming out of school like yourselves, there are so many doors open right now to get into this industry. And I think that it will continue to be that way. I think about the fundamental changes coming. I think I'd actually let Michelle touch on that a little bit more. Michelle is part of, in her role, the planning and the future and things that are coming our way. So with that said, I'm going to kick the football to her.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, as far as the future and changes that are forthcoming in the industry, certainly there are jobs that are available with people like us. There are also jobs available directly at Intel and equipment manufacturers. Whether those jobs are entry level or experienced varies a lot. That's where I think the industry is changing a lot and has changed a lot in the last 2 years. And I think it'll continue to change and evolve as we move forward in the industry. As Jessica mentioned, there's a lot of growth that's taking place in the U.S. right now in the industry. In around 1995, 1996, the industry was just booming in the U.S. And then in the mid 2000s, upper 2000s, a lot of the industry moved back overseas. So now with COVID and all of the shortages in the US, they've made it a matter of national security to bring the manufacturing back to the US, which is why we're seeing so much growth in the US. So I think there's a lot of long-term stability in the US, but there's a lot of emphasis on cost as well. So as far as companies like ours, there's going to be a lot of growth because the equipment manufacturer, the chip manufacturers like Intel are using companies like us to support them as far as technical needs instead of using the equipment manufacturers themselves after equipment warranties run out. So there's lots of different opportunities that isn't considered temporary positions. But there's lots of different opportunities as far as going with companies like us, going with equipment manufacturers, or going with the chip manufacturers direct. But sometimes you are limited based on how the chip manufacturer is bringing people in. There's definitely a lot of different pathways and a lot of different types of positions, but I think the future is just going to keep growing in the US because the government has made it a matter of national security for us. And, we just need to meet the US demands for the chips and not rely on overseas production.
Thank you. So to wrap up, we have a couple of reflective questions and action items for you all who are joining us today. So first, I'm hoping that Samantha and Michael could share if you would have done anything differently in high school that could have helped you prepare for your current job. So we'll start with Michael and then we'll go to Samantha.
Well, if I'm being honest, I kind of wish I would have taken some more hands-on classes that teach some more practical skills. Like, I know Aloha High School where I attended a few years back had an automotive course, and they also had a woodworking course. And I kind of wish I took those. I feel like I would have learned some hands-on skills that aren't, while not entirely necessary for entering, by no means necessary, would have been useful for many things, even just as a life skill in general. If any of you are into math, you're probably good at troubleshooting as well. Not that that's a requirement either, but go get it. Thank you.
For me personally, I don't really know what I could have done differently in high school. I did pretty well, and I've been taking computer classes and advanced math classes since middle school, and I took them in high school as well. Was I good at math? Not really, but I tried my best, and I usually passed. So I wasn't an expert, no math whiz, but just put in the effort. And yeah, I don't necessarily think that I would have taken any other additional classes, but yeah.
Thank you both. And for our final question, before we pass it back to students, if you have any questions for us, I am hoping that Michael and Marwin can share a couple action items for students. What should students do now to make them good candidates for future jobs in this industry? And if there are any online resources, activities, websites, or anything like that that you would recommend. So I am going to start with Michael, and then we'll wrap up with Marwin.
Thank you. As far as websites go, I have trouble recommending any. If I had to recommend a website, it'd probably be company websites involved in the semiconductor industry, like MSR-FSR. Send in your application once you're ready. That's the best way to get started. Got to take a step out that door. Skills, though, I know some other people talked about skills. Brennan listed off a whole bunch, but everyone talked about putting in the effort, putting in the time, and that's fair, right? Everything, you got to put in effort to do really take that step. But if I had to list a specific skill, and I mentioned it earlier, it would be something referred to as troubleshooting, and it's looking at something that might not be the way it should, making sense of it, and then following through to correct any issues or faults. I don't know if any of you have, I've named it before, but worked on cars, built computers, or done something else like that. Sometimes when you put it all together, it doesn't work like it should. And when that happens, you have to start looking at the individual parts and pieces to figure out what went wrong. Maybe it was, maybe you plugged the wrong wire into the wrong spot. Maybe a part you used was incompatible. You gotta keep trying out these different methods, these different tests in order to get the result that you need to make things work. So troubleshooting is probably, in my opinion, the best hands-on skill you can have for most companies in this industry. Thank you.
Let's see. Advice to to anybody that's looking to get into this, I would say, foster your curiosity. If you're interested in something at all, whether it be woodworking or auto mechanics or anything, take a class on it. Just foster that curiosity. Never stop learning, and just keep pushing yourself to learn new things, and that can only help you out in any industry, whether you come with work with us at MSR or you go somewhere else. Just continue to learn and just continue to push yourself. That's my best advice for anybody. And as far as websites go, if you're interested in anything, we all know YouTube. YouTube is just an amazing resource for just about anything. There's a lot of stuff out there that's not so great, but if you're interested in it, you can find it on YouTube, and you can learn from other people that have been in that role or doing whatever. So, just keep learning.
I love that. Thank you all so much for sharing. And just to add my 2 cents as well, is I would say ask questions if you're interested in this industry and you're unsure, if maybe clubs that you've been a part of, classes that you've taken, things that you've done around the house or with family, if you're unsure if those would relate to the field. You could go to your career center and see if maybe your career center has any connections with folks in the industry. For example, recruiters like Jessica and I, or folks who are in the field, and you can ask to connect with those people and have an informational interview and ask questions or things like that. So there are lots of opportunities, whether that is going out, doing your own research, or maybe trying to have discussions with folks who are in the field, because I'll speak for Jessica too, we love talking to folks about the industry. We love sharing about how you can find a career in this type of industry, and especially working with us. So the door is always open for that. And a lot of folks would be open to that. I think you'd be surprised. So those are all the responses and questions that we have for our panel. And I want to thank the MSR-FSR team very much for doing this with me. And I want to thank all of you who are attending, as well as the School to Work program for having us. So if you all have any questions, feel free to share those in the chat or come off mute and share those. And we'd love to answer those for you.
Okay, we've got just a little bit of time, but I did want to ask, I know that you are going to be present at the Hiring Expo on May 6th. The Washington County Chamber is having a Hiring Expo May 6th. All the students are invited to attend, and if you could give them maybe just a little idea of what kinds of positions you'll be looking to hire, if they need more education than just a high school diploma, or, if you're looking to hire people right out of high school, maybe kind of an idea of what the salary range is and what they might be able to do to really stand out when they come and talk to you at the hiring event.
Yeah, thank you, Heather, for that question. So at the Hiring Expo, we will primarily be looking for folks who have just recently graduated from high school, who will be graduating in the spring, or folks who may have graduated a few years ago, either with a high school diploma or with a GED. And those would be entry-level preventative maintenance folks, preventative maintenance. We also have what are called entry-level install technicians. So we have a variety of different technician positions that we'll be primarily hiring for that would require that high school diploma or GED. And a lot of what has been mentioned of potentially trying to get involved in clubs or classes where you may be able to work on skills like mechanical skills, automotive classes, woodworking, different things like that that can help prepare you, maintenance, landscaping, anything like that. And then we do have other positions that we hire for that would require advanced degrees or several years of experience in the industry, like engineering roles, project management roles, different things like that. And then Jessica, is there anything that you would add to that?
No, not especially. Again, the other thing that I would say, when students come, I know that you as educators and us as employers, we're always looking for that piece of paper, that resume. And I would say, again, as Marwan alluded to, YouTube, your parents, your friend's older brother, ask them for a little bit of help. And if maybe you don't know how to describe your job, that let's say you have a job and it's landscaping and you don't know how to put it into words. Sometimes it's hard to talk about ourselves on paper. Go on to Indeed and Google your job, and up will come job descriptions of the job you're currently doing. And you can read those sentences and make them your own and apply them to your resume. And there are all kinds of clever words, lots of adjectives and thesaurus terms that you can use to make something that was simple sound so exciting. So again, don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out to people like Giovanna and myself. We are always open to people calling us and saying, hey, I need a little bit of help. This is what I want to do. I'm trying to get my resume to say this. Do you have any advice? So don't hesitate. A resume is a pretty important thing when you're doing a job. And so when you come to this fair, be prepared to talk about yourself, have that resume. So that would be my only other piece to add.
And I know we're a little over time, but one thing I just thought of too, that I think is important, especially when you are right out of high school or getting ready to graduate, something that we really value at MSR-FSR and can be valued in the industry as well is experience that you have outside of a work setting. So let's say, for example, you work with a sibling, your mother, your father, someone else with cars, or you've done different work on the side that relates, but you haven't had a job per se in that area. Those types of skills are valued as well, the things that you learn outside of a work setting. So wanted to add that as well.
All right. Well, great. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time. And just thanks so much. And I will get the link to you right away so you can look at the video too. All right. I'm going to stop the recording. No, I'm not. Gold.